In the bustling metropolis of Marville, there existed a group of amazing children who led extraordinary lives. Each of them possessed unique superpowers and had become heroic figures among the city's inhabitants. They were collectively known as the Superhero Kids, and used their unique abilities to protect the city from all evil threats. The Superhero Kids consisted of 5 members. There were 2 girls, named Lily and Mia. And there were 3 boys, named Max, Ethan, and Alex. Max was known as Thunderbolt, and possessed the ability to control and manipulate electricity in various ways. He could use his electrical powers to provide light in dark areas, power essential equipment, induce electrical disruptions, and create amazing lightning strikes with deadly accuracy. Lily was known as Flutter, and had the ability to fly like a bird. She could soar through the air at great speeds, maneuver with precision, and reach high altitudes. She also had a unique telepathic ability that allowed her to communicate with a variety of animals. She could understand their thoughts, emotions, and intentions, as well as convey her own messages to them. Ethan was known as Blaze, and possessed a formidable set of powers centered around fire and heat manipulation. His abilities granted him control over the elemental forces of fire, enabling him to wield flames with great precision and intensity. Mia was known as Shapeshifter, and possessed the extraordinary power of transformation. She was able to change her physical form into that of any living creature she desired. Her abilities granted her incredible versatility, making her a unique and powerful superhero. Alex was known as Shield, and possessed the ability to create force fields for protection. His power allowed him to generate and manipulate energy barriers that could shield him, and those around him, from various forms of attack. The Superhero Kids were very proud of their city, and crime was almost non-existent, until their greatest challenge unfolded before their very eyes. It was to be the ultimate showdown that would test their powers like never before. Nearby was a notorious villain named Darkstrike, who lived in Conread Canyon, a secluded spot in which to conduct his evil experiments. He was a sinister villain, consumed by the forces of darkness that dictated his actions and motives. Enveloped in mystery, Darkstrike wielded a host of magical powers. He could control shadows to obscure his presence and move swiftly from one place to another. He could unleash potent bolts of dark energy that caused destruction and chaos. His dark powers even extended to the manipulation of minds, which allowed him to trap others in order to serve his evil purposes. Darkstrike possessed extensive knowledge of the dark arts and witchcraft, with access to forbidden rituals and magical spells. His soul was deeply tainted by the forces of darkness, and his heart was consumed by violence and cruelty. He was ruthless, calculating, and found pleasure in the suffering of others. Darkstrike reveled in the pursuit of power and dominance, seeking to spread chaos and fear wherever he could. His isolation in Conread Canyon allowed him to live without interference from the outside world. But he wanted more. He thirsted for the blood of his enemies. One day, for reasons unknown, Darkstrike decided to make his move. He emerged from the shadows, leaving behind his isolation, and made his presence known for the first time in many years. He stood upon a hill and used binoculars to look down on the city. His eyes were filled with rage as he gazed upon the town of Marville, his hatred growing by the minute as he saw how the city had grown over the years. At that moment, Darkstrike made up his mind and was determined to conquer Marville and destroy the Superhero Kids, in order to claim it as his own. He possessed the power of the darkest kind of magic, and he had a great legion of loyal henchmen at his command, so he felt invincible. With the entire town hearing the rumors, and sensing impending danger, they began preparing to defend their city. The Superhero Kids rallied together and came up with a plan to confront Darkstrike and his henchmen. United by their individual powers, they set out to defend their beloved city and its inhabitants. At exactly 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Darkstrike sent a huge flock of evil blackbirds, such as ravens and crows, to check out the situation in Marville and report back. Once he received news back from the birds, he sent them back to the city to keep watch as he ordered his hundreds of evil henchmen to move out, all prepared to kill at a moment's notice. As the black birds circled menacingly over the city, the worried inhabitants watched from below. Flutter watched the birds and decided to take action. She flew off into the nearby forest to contact some of her furry friends for help. The people of Marville, both young and old, had hastily assembled their defenses. The clang of swords being made and sharpened, the sound of spears flying and hitting the ground as they practiced, the metallic shields they would use for protection, and the determined faces of the defenders, all painted a portrait of courage in the face of danger. And danger was quickly approaching as movement stirred deep within the forest. Armed with spears, swords, knives, and weapons of all types, the henchmen marched steadily forward, directly toward Marville. Flutter summoned help from the animal kingdom, and soon, thousands of birds came flying out of the surrounding forest, attacking the evil black birds that had been encircling the city so menacingly. Dead ravens and crows fell to the ground as they were overwhelmed by the sheer numbers of birds that attacked them. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the land, the first wave of Darkstrike's henchmen emerged from the woods surrounding the city. A chilling aura of dark evil preceded them, instilling fear in the hearts of those who faced them. Armed to the teeth with an array of deadly weapons, the henchmen formed a sinister procession, marching forward with a ruthless determination. The clash began with a thunderous roar as the two forces collided. The defenders of Marville held their ground with unwavering resolve, but they faced an unyielding horde that would not stop. Spears were thrown, arrows flew, swords rang out against swords and shields, and the metallic clangs resonated through the air, drowning out the battle cries that filled the area. Thunderbolt suddenly sprang into action. His body literally crackled with electricity as he let his power build up until finally unleashing it in a fury of rage. Bolts of lightning, and unending waves of hot energy, flashed from his fingertips as he pointed his hands toward the enemy. The henchmen soon found their weapons melting in their hands while their clothing and hair went up in flames. Blaze used his powers to unleash waves of fire, building up great walls of flames that protected the people of the town but also encircled the henchmen's defenses, reducing many of them to ashes. Shapeshifter transformed herself into an angry lion and mauled several dozen of the enemy fighters. She then turned herself into a mighty eagle, soaring high into the sky and attacking from above without mercy. Shield stood near the rear, his impenetrable force field protecting his comrades from harm when possible. He created an invisible dome which protected them from any danger that came from above. With their powers combined, the superhero kids, along with the townspeople, were able to defeat the henchmen. 5 hours of intense fighting had produced many casualties for the people of Marville, and although the air smelled like death, the people of Marville smelled victory at last. Once the celebration had settled down, they soon realized that Darkstrike still remained outstanding. The superhero kids knew they needed to confront him in order to save Marville and its inhabitants, once and for all. The superhero kids decided on a plan of action and started on their journey. They went straight to Darkstrike's hidden lair in Conread Canyon and never stopped to rest. Upon arrival, they found it to be a low-level, one-story building, painted all black, with no visible windows, and a single entrance. As it was almost hidden by the surrounding trees, the building was not noticeable until you got close to it. They put their plan in action immediately. Shapeshifter transformed herself into a huge grizzly bear and smashed through the door, reducing it to splinters. They then all entered the building, ready for anything that came their way. A great cloud of smoke came out of nowhere and Darkstrike suddenly appeared. He instantly threw a ball of white-hot energy in their direction. Thunderbolt stepped up, created an electric force field, and channeled his energy to disrupt Darkstrike's powers, causing the ball of energy to fall to the floor and disappear. Flutter called upon an assortment of weasels and rats to gather in order to confuse and distract Darkstrike. They nipped and bit at his ankles, as he kicked at them and tossed poison smoke in their faces. Blaze created a blinding wall of flames that limited Darkstrike's vision and brought great heat. He then shot some fire towards the walls, and soon the whole inside of the building was on fire. Shapeshifter transformed into a huge dinosaur, a Tyrannosaurus Rex, and unleashed a rage of fury in the room. She destroyed everything in her path on her way to Darkstrike, and used her massive body to protect others from his dark magic in the process. Shield erected an impenetrable force field around himself, which protected him from Darkstrike's evil magical powers, and quickly moved forward with a firm grip on his sword. Together, the superhero kids worked to push Darkstrike to his limits. Darkstrike unleashed all of his black magic, attempting to overwhelm the young heroes with shadows and sorcery. But they stood strong, using their powers together, and with a final surge, they managed to overpower the villain and bring him down. Shapeshifter picked up Darkstrike's body in her mighty dinosaur jaws and quickly made her way out of the burning building as the others followed closely behind. Darkstrike wasn't dead, but his evil intentions were finally eliminated, and he was to be sent to prison for the rest of his life, with all magic removed from him once and for all. The city of Marville stood victorious, but not without its scars. The city was filled with fallen comrades, as well as major destruction from the battle. The people mourned their losses and began the process of cleaning up. In the aftermath of the ferocious conflict, Marville remained ever vigilant, knowing that evil may rise again one day. But the bravery of the superhero kids, and the unwavering spirit of the city's defenders, would forever be remembered in the city's history, a testament to the power of unity, courage, and resolve, in the face of utter darkness. The superhero kids knew that their duty as protectors of Marville was forever ongoing, and they eagerly awaited their next adventure, ready to face any new challenges that came their way.